Greetings and good vibes, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'm with my co-host, Chantel and Ghost. Are you still in that building this morning?
Yes, I am.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Good morning, y'all. Grand Rising, wherever y'all at. Let's get it.
Yes. Well, today is Friday. It's early. We've done had our tea, our conversation. I think that it's time to talk about a piece that is crazy out of Louisiana. The death of Ronald Green. They had an indictment yesterday for the Green family. The police tried to cover it up. And they said that it was from a car accident. And here to come find out, 5 officers have been now indicted. So we're going to jump right into that today. And so we are always going to fight for freedom and the social injustices around the globe. Know that at the Leon Block, that is one of our sole purposes, to shed light into a dark world that others feel too uncomfortable to talk about. We're here to get uncomfortable, to elevate to our larger realm of consciousness, to arm ourselves with knowledge, because if we don't do better, or if we don't know better, we can't do better. And if we aren't in the know, then we can't arm ourselves with knowledge. And then we also can't demand change appropriately, and that's very necessary. We must be clear and understand what the fundamental problem is, and understand that the root of the problem is the system. The only way we can have change and reform of these systemic disparities is if we bring in clear component leaders and competent, and they commit to the long haul. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We must connect through community. Our communities are hurting. We need compassion, layers of support, and to show grace and humanity. At the Leon Block, we are on a mission to bridge the gap between our community resources available and to our communities that need those resources the most. Whether that be in our backyard or yours, that is our purpose, to be the bridge. So to get started, I don't know if you had heard about this, guys, but this was Ronald Green. And in May of 2019, the powers that be helped cover up his murder. And the accountability is finally being held. We are demanding COL Lamar Davis to fire the officers, which, I mean, in my opinion, I think that automatically whenever an officer has been charged, he should be, taken off the police force. What's you guys' opinion?
Oh, hell yes. You already know how I feel. Lock them up. lock them all up, is what I say.
Right. I believe that like
Lock 'em-
officers. Oh, go ahead.
I believe I'm sitting up here. I'm agreeing with Jontel. Is lock them all up, and as they say to us, throw away the key.
Yo, you took
Right.
the words out of my mouth. I was gonna wait for you to say it, but you said it. Lock them up and throw away the key.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
Period.
And I
Throw
feel
away the key.
they should not. Yep. Bail should not be possible because they murdered an innocent person, just like bail would not be possible if we murdered someone.
Period.
Like these, it has to be equal. Nothing should protect them under the law, in my opinion. But let's
No
hear
bail
what this.
possible.
Right. Exactly. Let's take a listen and see what they're talking about on this video, if we could.
Just give me one moment because I had some kind of glitch. Just give me one moment. I won't be long. Where did it go? Oh, come on. Don't do it to me. Don't mind. It is early in the morning. Oh, see, now you breaking up. Why you gotta go do that to me? Yo, Meg. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Yo, Meg, get it
What
together.
happened?
We're having technical difficulties.
You already know.
We started breaking up.
Let me know when. Just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so I can know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Perfect. I just wanted to try that out and see how it went. So now we can give people now we can give people a round of applause.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm bowing down.
We are always so serious, so it's great to take a moment to laugh for sure.
Exactly. I think that just it's depression season, so we got to lighten it up a little bit because we're about to get into something serious. So let's get back into this clip here. This is a press conference concerning Ronald Green's killers getting indicted for the brutal murder of his death, correct?
Right, that they tried to cover up for. If this happened in 2019, we're now at the end of 2022. This is something that was covered up. They tried to say that it was a car accident originally. Whenever they choked him, and like he was even saying on the body cam, "I'm scared." So we'll get into that here coming up. But yeah, let's go ahead and play this clip.
Waiting on anybody else? All right, my name is. Come on. My name is Eugene Collins. I'm the president of the Baton Rouge branch of the NAACP, and we thank y'all for coming out here tonight and waiting for this long period of time, which seemed like forever. But what also seemed like forever is how long it took to get these indictments on these officers. Although we know that justice delayed is not justice denied, and this family has held very strong throughout this process. And although the gravity of the charges is not exactly what we had hoped for, we are not remiss to know or think that this is historic in Louisiana to have 5 indictments on 5 troopers. And that is a full testament to the strength of this woman, I believe, right here, Ms. Mona Hardin.
Absolutely.
This has been a long journey, a long fight. And along this fight, I saw the strength of the mom fight through everything. Get on the road and make 10-hour trips sometimes every week to make sure that nobody forgot her son's name. I saw his sisters continue to push on no matter what was going on, or how many times they were worried about their mama getting on the road by herself. They kept fighting. They kept going. But at the same time, I'm deeply saddened that it took all of this, even with a video of a black man getting beat to death on the side of a road. It should have never gotten here. But the fact that it did, and because of these warriors standing behind me and so many others that couldn't be here tonight, we'll see charges here tonight. And we hope that those troopers enjoy their jail stay. And when they get to jail, the people that's already there, y'all make sure they feel welcome. With that said, right. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Attorney Ron Haley. And then after that, we're going to hear from Ms. Mona.
Thank you, Eugene. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your patience on this day. It took a couple of hours, but it took 3.5 years to get to this point so we could wait a couple of hours for justice. We are not here without the relentless strength of the Green family. Eugene said it right. For 3.5 years, this has been their life. Their life to make sure that their son, their brother, their father, their cousin, their nephew, their family, their friend receive justice, and no one will forget their name. This is an historic day in Louisiana. Far too often, we see incidents like this, sometimes even caught on camera, and yet all comes out of it is a lawsuit.
Talk about it.
Today, the Union Parish Grand Jury.
I want to stop real quick and talk about Breonna Taylor, because Breonna Taylor's boyfriend just settled a lawsuit with the
Louisville
Louisville
I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah. And so that's very telling. It's not that we want to do it, but that's what they throw at us. So I just wanted to be clear, because I did want to make light of that, because it's just one case after another that gets settled. And this is part of why you don't hear a lot about these families. And it's nothing against the families. I'm not faulting them.
Right. And for citizens as well, they can always look into the police misconduct paid out throughout their individual police department. So I encourage people to do that. You would be very surprised at how much each police department has to pay out yearly in just simple police misconduct.
I personally am not surprised, but viewers, you will definitely be surprised.
100%. I started looking into that one day and I was shocked. Like, Philly is horrible how much they've paid out.
Philly's one of the top. I think Philly and New York and Chicago.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yep.
And LA, Los Angeles is really bad.
Oh my God, yes.
Troopers,
Yeah.
2 sheriff's deputies from Union Parish. I'll be remiss not to thank District Attorney Belton for taking this case to the grand jury in seeking criminal charges when it seemed for a long period of time no one would. Today, although the gravity, as Eugene said, of the charges may not be what everyone wants, but we claim victory today. This is just the next step in the march for justice, but it was a big step, because the step we took today means we get to take another step. Because if the grand jury came back and did not indict any of these officers,
murderers,
it would stop. So the march goes on. We've been marching for 3.5 years, and we will march until the end to make sure there's justice for Ronald Green.
I just want to say that we have come a ways. And for what we do have, 5 arrests, it sounds a lot. Even though I'm glad for the arrests, it's what you're going to make out of these arrests.
Right.
There needs to be substantial time for a cop who murders while in uniform. They need to be held accountable.
They were clearly racist.
Talk about it.
It's not, you're condoning the killing of Ronald Green.
Yep.
You're okay with my son being murdered if you just give a slap in the wrist. Because these are bad officials who take it upon themselves to be judge, jury, and execution. And all I can say is this is the beginning of a lot. We're not done. We're not done by a long shot. Where we are now, I carry every bit of it proudly for my son. Ronnie is here. I want you guys to remember his face. Remember what he said while he was being murdered by these cops. And the fact that they had no mercy till they killed him. I want y'all to remember that. These are Louisiana state troopers. The cover-up that ensued by higher ups, I want you guys to see it all as it was. This is 3.5 years of a murder and a cover-up. Let's not forget who aided and abetted.
Yep.
To where we have to really struggle just to get what we got today. One step leading into many more to come. I thank you.
Now we're going to hear from his sisters, Danelle and Alana.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Greetings. I would be remiss if I didn't say something. But right now, even though it was a small victory, we're still left heartbroken, trying to pick up the pieces. The tragedy of the matter is we're still stuck on that day that we lost our big brother. 2019, people. We've been struggling and hurting and angry for a long time. But we know that this is a step to a bigger cause. This is just the beginning. So I do want to thank our team. And I want to thank those behind me who's actually stood with us for this time. And I want to thank this woman here, the best mother on earth, a true warrior, and I'm proud to call her my mother. And I want to thank you all again. Yeah.
Wow.
Hello, everyone. I must be honest, I'm really disappointed in the outcome, being that my brother was murdered. I mean, you guys, you saw it for yourselves. He was murdered. And I feel bad for the people here in Louisiana. You know, I don't feel like there's public safety for, you know, Black and brown people. There's no public safety. So I want to say to Governor John Bel Edwards and Attorney General Jeff Landry, you guys have to do a better job in cleaning up the state. have to do a better job, because my family that still resides here in the state, and I'm sure there's citizens all over.
So in the past 2 weeks, we have now determined that Mississippi, Louisiana, and Georgia are high hitting as far as police officer involved shootings on young Black and brown people, which is agreeance in what she said.
I seen and heard parts of this video, so I'm only gonna air just a piece of it because me personally it's very triggering. I'm gonna try to air as much as possible for people because it is important. However, I do want to warn people that it is a lot.
I'm scared. I'm just scared. Get out. I'm scared.
Mr. Green was, to some degree, even though he had just finished leading police officers on a lengthy and a high-speed chase, his inclination at that particular point was to acquiesce to what the officers want.
Let me see that. Put your hands up.
No, baby, come here. What was their? Why were they even using force in the first place? Is my question.
Yeah, that's my question too.
What's problematic for me is that Mr. Green is now left on the ground, on his stomach, handcuffed in a prone position. And officers are trained throughout the United States that once there's a struggle of this nature, the individual's handcuffed, that you need to push him off onto his side or get him in a sitting position so you can allow that breathing to be unimpeded by his own body weight.
Right.
And that didn't happen.
Hold on, wait. Did they just say this guy got fucking AIDS? Can you rewind that back?
No, that is what they said. They said they complained about the blood that they caused being on their shirt and that the blood probably contained AIDS.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And when he wasn't left alone and he tried to get over onto his side, another trooper pushed him down using his foot against the lower back and buttocks of Mr. Green. And I didn't understand that. There was absolutely no reason for that.
He was handcuffed.
Mr. Green had been drugged by his ankle shackles.
Wow, they're dragging him.
Sadistic, completely unnecessary. And the officer that did it's going to have to be held accountable.
Wow.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're going to turn now to what's taking place. A warning to our audience, this story contains disturbing footage of police violence. New body cam footage is raising more questions about the deadly arrest of a Black man in Louisiana. Your conversation with John Belton, the district attorney for the 3rd Judicial District in Louisiana.
So Mr. Belton was, he had the concern that by presenting this case to a Union Parish grand jury at the time that Trump administration was still in office, that it would be unlikely that a very conservative sort of jury pool would return an indictment against these officers. More importantly, these officers were involved in other cases in his jurisdiction as witnesses, as investigators, as reporters. So there's a conflict in the Union Parish district, or I should say, Union Parish, for these officers. So it would be appropriate, we believe, for for Mr. Belton to recuse himself. That's what we ask that he do, and that a special prosecutor be allowed to pursue state charges.
And then the history of the Louisiana governor.
Yeah, so the Louisiana governor, it's important to know that although he's a Democratic governor, and
this is John Bell Edwards.
Yeah, John Bell Edwards has paid lip service to the Black Lives Matter movement for the students at places like Louisiana State University. His father is a sheriff. His grandfather is a sheriff. He signed in the Blue Lives Matter legislation that made it a hate crime to target police officers in Louisiana.
Wow.
His actions have shown that he's willing to go to bat for law enforcement, but has failed to take concrete steps to really remedy very real issues of violence, mass incarceration, and systemic racism within the Louisiana State Police Department. So again, he's moved towards the Black community with lip service, especially over the last year. But in terms of tangible, concrete results, we've seen very little. And we're looking for specific actions in this case, including him instructing the Attorney General to vigorously prosecute these men for the local state charges and participating fully with a federal review of his state police, not only this troop, but the culture within the Louisiana State Troopers Office generally.
Can you talk about how racism has shaped law enforcement, particularly in the South? You have talked about the origin of the slave patrols.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Oh, the issue of how racism has shaped law and
Sure.
influenced law enforcement.
Sure. And I don't think I've seen a more graphic example of the continuation of the slave culture than this scene. It invokes the images of slave catchers hunting down a runaway slave. And it's really from that spring that this culture drew from. You had to punish runaway slaves in places like Louisiana if they ran, to send an example to other enslaved persons that they're not allowed to run or they would receive this kind of violence. That culture, that training is still alive and well today in a way that I think a lot of Americans will find, very off-putting. But it hasn't gone anywhere in the hundreds of years that this culture has set in.
That whole issue of, in fact, Ronald Greene being hogtied. We see in this video that was released by AP, one of those police officers, you can tell us his name, who puts his knee on his back. And again, the parallels with George Floyd. In this case, though, he was just left to die for 9 minutes while they washed his blood off of them.
And it's so important to note that even after this video has come out, the Louisiana State Police has described the incident as awful but lawful. They don't have any shame in what we're watching there. They're ashamed that we all have to watch it, but they don't believe that the use of force was gratuitous. They believe that because of Ronald Greene's, according to their own statements, because of Ronald Greene's failure to immediately pull his car over, that the subsequent violent acts, the repeated tasing, the torture, despite him being handcuffed and fully compliant, was appropriate. And that is the kind of thing that still goes on in Louisiana State Troopers Office. So it's important that as we start to push towards remedy, that first, everyone involved in the attack and the cover-up is held criminally accountable. But there must be a pattern and practice review of that entire policing apparatus. If the culture and the de facto policies and procedures are constitutionally violative, then we must take affirmative steps, actual actions to ensure the safety of Black and brown Louisianans.
Again, this Troop F, 66 Troop F members, just 6 are Black. The area they patrol is 40% African American.
And that's correct. And this troop is notorious for brutality in the region. The officers who were involved in this violence went on after the death of Ronald Greene to participate in the brutalization and even death of other members of the Louisiana community. You mentioned in your opening that one of the officers, Dakota DeMoss, is facing criminal charges, but not as it relates to the murder of Ronald Greene or even the aggravated assault of Ronald Greene, before a completely separate incident. That is also true of Chris Hollingsworth.
One thing I do want to stop and say is we have been covering 3 cases in the South as it is.
Right.
One of the cases is in Georgia, and we had the mother of that person on the show, on your show the other day, Eric Holmes. And then we have 2 cases in Mississippi. We have Jaheim McMillan, and we have Rasheem Carter. And so the laws are not only behind, but there's a lot more brutalism when it comes to the way that they do things and get away with it. And Ronald Green's murder was one of the most brutal that we have seen in quite some time. And people know about George Floyd, but they don't know much about Ronald Green. So it is, for me personally, interesting to hear that these 5 of these officers are at least indicted. So, like the mother said, let's hope that we get some extensive amount of jail time. Am I right?
Right. They all need sentenced to the max capacity of the law.
For sure. All right, so I think there was one more article that you wanted to touch on.
Yes.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me, darn it.
We're winging it on this Friday.
Look, this is independent media.
Right.
All right. Here we go.
With this show, we have the time to explain what's going on. Here's a deeper understanding of what's happening.
Prime Time with John Dick.
Nope. So 5 Louisiana law enforcement officers were charged with state crimes ranging from negligent homicide to malfeasance. Meg, do you know that word?
Can you show me the screen?
Malfeasance.
Malfeasance? What? Let me see here. Malfeasance. That means like misconduct.
Do we have the officers' faces that show them?
Now I do. You said misconduct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Like malpractice.
So this happened yesterday in the deadly 2019 arrest of Ronald Green. They are the first charges to emerge from a death. Authorities initially blamed on a car crash before long suppressed body camera video showed white officers beating, stunning, and dragging Ronald as he wailed, "I'm scared." Green's bloody death on a roadside in rural northeast Louisiana got little attention until the AP investigation exposed a cover-up and prompted scrutiny of top Louisiana state police brass, a sweeping U.S. Justice Department review of the agency, and a legislative inquiry now looking at what Governor John Bel Edwards knew and when he knew it.
Mm-hmm. That's the only way we're going to be able to hold these officials accountable.
Fact. Do we know if they released the officers' faces or anything like that?
They did release the names. I had posted the names on my personal Facebook page. If you want to check that out, John Tell.
Yes. So the 5 officers who brutally murdered Ronald Green have been indicted by a grand jury tonight. The charges of Corey York, he got negligent homicide, 10 counts of the word that you said.
Malfeasance.
Malfeasance?
Yes. We're going to have to Google what that means because I'm pretty sure it means misconduct, but I've never heard. That's not a word we use in Pennsylvania. And this is this is a pretty used word, obviously, down there because all these officers are getting charged with it.
So we got Corey York, Chris Harpin, and John Clary, but there's other ones as well.
Negligent homicide, though, is a pretty solid charge. Like I'm not gonna say I'm impressed, but it's about time.
Malfeasance means in the under Google is an act of illegal and causes physical or monetary harm to someone else. It's an intentional it's an intentional conduct that the wrongdoing are unlawful, especially by officials or public employees.
Okay. So it's like a color of law violation.
Right.
Okay.
I do.
Dakota DeMoss and John Peters also are the other two officers. These men are responsible for the unjust murder of Ronald Green. These charges are historic and shameful. Historic because Louisiana rarely ever charges cops.
Right.
Shameful because it was manslaughter.
Mm-hmm. They assaulted that man. And the only cause they had to arrest him was allegedly there was a high-speed chase or something involved. Yes. That still is no causation for justification of them brutally
in
Louisiana.
In Louisiana.
This reminds me of Jayland Walker.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio, Dirty South, Minnesota, Pennsylvania. That's why we have jobs, because of these motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. It's insane, the civil right violations and constitutional violations. That was, it makes me sick. But slave poachers, they said it right. That's what it seems like down there, showing by, event or incident after incident of these young men, losing their lives.
True.
But that's what we're here for, is to bring awareness and to have these uncomfortable conversations so that we can arm, everyone with knowledge to, know better, do better, be better. But we could not do what we do without your donations and support. Just so you guys know, our payment options are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Don't forget to set your notifications to know when we're live. Like and subscribe to view more of your favorite social injustice firefighters, freedom fighters. Oh, if we were firefighters, guys.
We are firefighters.
Yo, freedom fighters, firefighters. Might start some fires. You never know.
No.
Yes, because we got the flame.
Yes, it's burning deep inside of us for real.
With our voices. We're going to clarify that. With our voices.
Right. Yes.
With that flame.
100%.
With the flame, but with our voices.
But I mean, sadly, guys, I didn't. Ronald Green was a new name for me, and I agree with Jontel. I never seen the police assault somebody that bad.
I don't think none of us have.
But I think that, definitely that town needs to be looked into by the Justice Department. So any of our viewers, that see what we see and, in these videos, don't hesitate to reach out. It's a color of law violation through the state. That would be a Louisiana or the Department of Justice color of law violation. Just because officers sit in a position of power, those are our seats. They still have to be accountable and, show integrity that they're working for us. And yes, check out the new merch available now, exclusively Encino gear, available through only the Leon Block.
Yes.
But it's been a pleasure this morning, y'all. I greatly appreciate you. And, it's always great to learn together. Rue's going to come in here and say hello to everybody.
Hey, baby.
Fourth co-host of the day.
Yes. Special Friday episode. Get it in. Get it out. All right, y'all. Well, thank you, my co-host Jontel and Ghost. I couldn't do it without you guys. I love you. I hope you have a great Friday afternoon, wherever you are. Arm yourself with knowledge, y'all. That's all we can do.
I heal. I read tarot cards, and I'm pretty good at that. I do this amazing poetry that I want to bring. I want to develop this workshop and bring the inner child out in women. And I want to heal the world, one woman at a time. I really do. I want to build a sisterhood. I imagined today when I was in the shower that, oh my gosh, if I travel around the world to